Welcome to the Unshakable Growth. I'm Esty, and let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Unshakable Growth podcast, where we dive into personal story of transformation, confidence, and the power of taking bold steps. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce a guest who's embodied the spirits of change and growth. He's originally from Scotland, but decided to make a big move across the globe to Australia, where he's now building his personal development coaching business. We'll be talking about his journey, the challenges of starting fresh in a new country, and how his passion of helping others in driving his new venture. So let's dive in and welcome Mark to the show.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Yeah. Just a few questions to get people to get to know you. So, what makes you move to Australia?
At the time, I was like 27 and I was already in charge of the electrical department. That was with the factory that I was working in, and I wanted to progress. At the time, I didn't want a desk job, which was a next progression in that factory. But I was applying for oil jobs and things like this, and it was very difficult at the time. I think we were just out of recession or near a recession. The economy in general in the UK is not as good as Australia. And I remembered that I've always fancied Australia since a young age, and one of my friends actually was already over here. He was basically one of the main sparkies that trained me as an apprentice, and he would been here 5 years at a time, which would make it 14 years now for him and 9 for me. But I just got some advice of him, got the visa, went over there, actually stayed in his house for a little bit when I first got there in Perth. And so that was good. It was like a little sort of way in, but it was more like I was actually scared of missing the opportunity. Like, because I remember people saying like, "Oh, you're so brave going over there," and I was thinking, "Nah, I'm like, it's the opposite." I was feared of not fulfilling this sense of adventure that I had, and then like once you go over 30, I think it's 35 now, but at the time it was 30. That's like you can't really get a working holiday visa. It's a lot more difficult to get in the country. So I was like, I just didn't want to miss the opportunity for sure.
And so you started here. You said with you don't want to do a desk job, and you got a job in the oil industry.
No, I was trying for that in the UK, but then I remembered that I'd always fancied Australia, so I came to Australia.
Okay. And what job did you first started here in Australia?
I was actually, you know what? It was funny. I was in a factory that did similar stuff to the factory that I did. And I could have made them a whole lot more money, but they didn't even read my CV. They had me like sweeping floors and cleaning toilets. But I done it because I've always said I would do any job, like if needed to, you know what I mean? So I did the job
just to get into the
3-4 months. No, I wasn't to get in the country. I was on a working holiday visa, so it's just a visa gets you in the country. It was just to earn a bit of money while I was there, but that was in Perth. And then I was speaking to a guy, Jason Green. He was saying, come to Sydney. You can get way more money, sort of thing. Try Luhan, it was. And I spoke to Darren from Luhan, and he wanted to pay me like double the money. And he's like, can you start on Monday? I was like, I'll fly on Monday night. He's like, all right, start Wednesday.
Okay.
That was fantastic. And went over to Sydney, and it was crazy. The money I was getting is like maybe nearly 3 times the amount as what I was getting back home. Is zero responsibility. It was just like, pull that cable over there. Whereas I was used to organising everything and dealing with training guys, budgeting guys, disciplining guys, all that sort of stuff, and any projects that was coming up. So it was really good. I love that aspect of it to start with, and also there's a very different culture here where life comes first. Whereas back home, it's much more of a struggle, and like work would have to come first. Come first anyway, and then people are maybe spending their free time escaping that opposed to actually enjoying life. Like that's certainly how I felt anyway. And it's just a breath of fresh air when you get over here.
And I guess it's because it's a new place, new culture, and everything's new, so it's different.
And it's a country that's always had a lot of resources but not population. So there's a lot of people that aren't Australian here, like a massive amount. Especially Irish, which obviously the Scottish get on quite well with the Irish, so it works well. I think it was a thing the other day I read, it was an Instagram video, 2.5 million Irish people in Sydney.
Wow, that's a lot.
Or in Australia, sorry. Oh. Which is like 10% of the population, which is nuts.
Yeah.
It's crazy, isn't it? So,
It's really good to know that like there's so many cultures here in Australia. Like myself, like there's so many Asian people over here. Like I don't feel different from my own country, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, same with us. Like, we come over from the UK and the road signs and everything's the same. In Sydney, Perth's a bit different, but and it's like the culture, obviously, Australia was made by the British, so it's like the culture and that's very similar. So yeah, you don't really feel. It's not like when I went to Peru, you knew you were in a different country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things were different, a lot different. Yeah, people's obviously speaking English as the first language is makes it my version of English anyway. But yeah, it's so good.
Okay. And what drive you to get you started to work on this personal coaching development business?
The catalyst for that was it would be 2 years ago now, yeah, coming up for 2 years, which is crazy when I say that because it feels like it's been 4 or 5, right?
Wait, before you proceed, let me just quickly go back a little bit. So how long have you been here in Australia?
9 years.
9 years now.
Yeah.
And okay, so 2 years ago you decided to start something.
Yeah. Well, what that something was my own trauma therapy.
What's that?
My own trauma therapy. This was the catalyst to me. So it was a psychological trauma therapist. I'd been at home and I was speaking to I already knew of them through a friend, but I spoke to another friend and she was telling me how like our amazing transformation was happening and she was studying to be a counselor and stuff like that. And I was like, oh wow, I'm gonna try these people because I always knew there was something mentally that wasn't quite right because like my life, I have amazing friends in Australia and at home. I have all this sort of human connection stuff that successful enough. Like there's no really worries and stuff in Australia financially anyway. And like motorcycle, you like all the sort of toys you would want and whatever. Like with a water paddleboard, I'll just go buy one, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I would just feel terrible, like so dark, and logically it wouldn't make any sense, right?
Yeah.
Because you have all the materialistic stuff, which I know doesn't bring you happiness, but then I had all the friendships and things to back that up as well.
Yeah, there's no fulfillment, I guess.
No, well, no, the material stuff isn't, but it sure does stop you being sad. In a lot, like, or sorry, I've said that wrong. The opposite of like not having any money, it can bring sadness, right?
Yes.
That's my point. But I had the materialistic stuff and the friendships and the real fulfilling stuff. You know what I mean? So for me to feel like down and depressed and not good at all was really confusing.
Okay.
But so that sort of told me I had enough emotional intelligence then to be like, there's something that needs to be. I need to speak to a professional about it. So I did, and within half an hour, Marianne, Horsetime it's called in Scotland. It was a Zoom call. She diagnosed me with like PTSD, abandonment issues, all sorts of things that were very impactful and a lot to take on. But I was so happy that there was something now that I can address and somebody that knew all about it and that was going to show me how to help myself, essentially. That's what she's done the whole time. She's never really obviously educated me on a lot of stuff, but taught me how to figure out my own mind and emotions.
Like how to make yourself feel better about those intangible stuff, right? Because like those emotions and those feelings, it's intangible and it's not easy to deal with, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure, especially when you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But like I've figured stuff out that I remember I used to figure things out and tell her. The next day was every week. And she'd be like, yep, you've nailed that on the head. And I'd be so happy with myself. Like I remembered, figured out in a relationship, I'd either hold a girl at arm's length or I would replace the emotional void that my mother left because when I was about 6.5, my mom's sister was murdered, so my auntie. And then that put my mum, triggered her past traumas and put her in like, she was very chronically depressed and suicidal and stuff. She's still here today and I still love my mum. Never blamed her for any of that, of course. But yeah, that left a big emotional void from like the inner child, if you will, the child me, right? So I would either hold a girl at arm's length in a relationship or use her she would fill the gap left in the void, right? which obviously never really went too well. So learning that and understanding that, then for me in this instance was a complete thing that made that link, and then I don't need to do that anymore. You know what I mean? Whereas sometimes you make the link and you still need to do some work on it, but definitely making the link is at least half the battle for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stuff like that, learning things like this, and that was just the mindset she got me on, and like being the Sherlock Holmes of your own mind. So that was amazing itself. But then my personal growth aside, the second biggest thing that I took away was there's a lot of simple stuff that the world's not taught. And I was like, I want to tell everybody all this stuff, you know, like your brain doesn't track time. So like if you imagine your life, you can see it like a horizontal timeline, right?
Yes.
Like from when you were born to learning to walk, to going to school, to going to uni, whatever you've done to get a job, and to the present day. Whereas like your survival part of the brain, everything's a second ago. You know what I mean? So if you get a trigger from, like, I always use this example, say like a traumatic car crash, someone died or something like this, that you were in when you're younger, and a car screeches its tires on the street, that triggers you. But it happens in your subconscious. So your brain goes, oh, we survived this, and then it takes you emotionally back to that point. So it really drags you down. And you might not know why. Like, oh, why am I feeling sad for like 3 months? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's why, that triggers why. So understanding stuff like that, I was actually going through a situation where that was happening. My cousin was in the same mental hospital that my mum was in as a child. This was only like 4 or 5 years ago, and I went and seen a psychiatrist and he explained that. Like, instantly I was like, oh, okay, I don't need to understand why I'm feeling, because I'm triggered. Now I don't need to feel sad because I understood it.
Yeah,
Like, just
and you know the reason behind your feeling, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And yeah, so now that you understand your feeling, and how does it trigger you or motivate you to
Well, I'd like to tell everybody, right? And I've always been empathetic and always enjoyed helping others and stuff like that, like my friends out or whatever. So I volunteered at the Safe Space in Coogee with Alan Earls. He's a legend. Shout out to Alan. And yeah, I started that there. That was good. Not many people came into there actually, but there's another one at Summerhill. But it wasn't enough. So I was like, what else could I do? And I just came back from Thailand on holiday, and this is like a year ago, just over a year ago. And I was like thinking of creating some sort of residual income and then going to uni and doing psychiatry or something like this.
You were thinking about that?
Yeah, and then I sort of decided that that's not really the route I wanted to go down anyway. I don't entirely agree with Western medicine, but it's a big subject that. But I seen an advert for Jay Shetty's life coaching school.
Oh yeah.
And I thought, oh, seen it, and I was like, oh, that looks good. And I was like, oh, I'm not ready though. And I went, when you ever going to be ready?
Yeah.
I just clicked on it and got a phone call and spoke to the guy, and he was like, yeah, great, and started the school. Yeah.
And how long is that course?
6 months. 6 months. I started it in October, I think, and did a bit of pre-learning beforehand. I poured like 300 hours into that course. Yeah, it was something else intent, because I didn't want to skip through it and like not learn this and that and how to like speak to people and how to really bring out the best in people and stuff. But yeah.
Yeah, so from there, after learning the 6 months course, the coaching course, right? So how did you choose your niche market?
It's just really what I feel is best, like what I really want to do.
Because like coaching is I would say it's a huge market.
Oh, massive, crazy.
And yeah, for you to choose personal development and specifically on men, how did you go to that direction?
Well, it's not much of a niche, really, if you think about it, right? Because I've went men, so you have the population, right? But like the reason I've done men is because I feel like it's needed in that space. Like I want to break the stigma of men not talking about their emotions and mental health and stuff like that. And the stigma of it also always been a negative conversation. It doesn't need to be a negative conversation that helps. You could be talking about all the things that help. Like, you know, I ride bikes with a lot of guys, and yeah, we talk about like how much it helps us getting away with the boys, and it's like a reset and stuff like this. And that is creating more mental awareness, you know what I mean? And it's literally tackling the problems that we have with, like, suicide and stuff in the world, which is, I believe that the stigma behind mental health and men not being able to talk or feeling trapped is an absolute root cause of this sort of stuff. So that's what one of the things I'm going after. Although my coaching isn't really based on like people that are suicidal and stuff. It's much more for people trying to develop and progress.
Yeah, and get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
And also, I agree with one of your sentences just now. You said that men don't tend to share their emotion enough, which I agree a lot on this. I guess because they have their ego or...
Yeah, there's a lot of factors at play, but I think something that we all need to remember is, and that I like to explain, is that like we're not designed to do it. We're designed to protect and provide, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the female provides life, like the baby, and then nurtures the baby. So they have like emotional intelligence.
Yes.
I know obviously in the modern day the lines are blurred at times and stuff like this, but like that's kind of, and then obviously society is a massive factor in the way men behave in the world.
Yeah. Probably the stigma, like you said, like men should behave this way. They should not share their emotions.
Yeah. So, the stiff upper lip and like probably comes from the war when like you just had to get on with everything. And yeah, I think nowadays we're kind of at like a tipping point between men like going too soft, but also we've got the most knowledge and emotional intelligence than we ever have. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like finding a balance with that is going to be very important.
Yeah. And so during your coaching progress, what do you do? Like, tell me a little bit more of what's included for your coaching process and how long does it take?
Well, I have a 12-week course and it is align, direction and drive, essentially. So you would just sit a client down, you have a chat, you find out what they want.
Yeah.
It's all a lot of questions based on the client, and you empower them to positively improve their own life. So it's really quite spectacular, actually. Yeah. But the coursework it has 8 steps. Basically, you would start with alignment, which is like, what's your core values? What is your core values, and what is your overarching life goal? From your core values, you create exactly what you want. And then everything you do from that point is just working towards that. And then I would teach things like the growth mindset. So you don't get stuck on goals, so you don't set them too low. You don't actually have to achieve them, and they're just for direction. And the growth mindset also says that you can enjoy every single step of the way. So you can be happy all the time, essentially, as long as you're progressing. Being happy all the time is easier said than done, but you can be happier with your progress without thinking about actually reaching the goal and having that sort of stress. So it frees you from setting them too low, because literally achieving it's irrelevant, it doesn't matter. And it also gives you the ability to progress more, because if you fall in love with the process, then you'll love that, and then you want to do that in more areas in your life. You know what I mean? So like, you're just really enjoying the progress. You're going to make the most progression. Yeah,
that's right. And also because like you don't want to always stay in that circle of comfort zone, but you also don't want to stress yourself too much to reach that goal that is unachievable.
Yeah.
So like a little small progress each day will definitely like help, and enjoy the process as well while you are doing it.
Yeah, for sure. If the main goal is a small amount of progression every day, and you're nailing that, then you're going to be much happier with your life, for sure.
Yeah. And a question for you, like, if let's say there's someone that has a major life change, moving to a new country, or has something big that happened to their life, what advice would you give to them?
Just stop thinking about it. If like they're planning to do it, just stop thinking. Stop thinking. Action. Just take action. Yeah. Just do it.
Just do it. just like Nike.
Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Plug Nike there. Yeah. Just do it, because like you're never going to get it perfect the first time, or you're never gonna. You can plan until you're dead and without doing something. You know what I mean? So just take action and figure it out as you go, because we're not supposed to know. Nobody was born with the answers. We're actually not taught the answers like by our schools and stuff. You know what I mean? In the Western world, at all. It's a disgrace. But or taught how to get them from ourselves, which is why I'm doing what I'm doing. One of the main reasons as well. Just take action. Take action and figure it out in a way. You're not supposed to know.
Oh, I like that you're not supposed to know, because it's a surprise every time we do something, right? Or what's ahead of us, it's a surprise technically.
Yeah. That you're supposed to figure out. Like that's the deal. We're not here like with the answers. We're here just figuring it out. And I think that's the case until your last breath.
And just now you mentioned also the core values. You want to know how, or your clients, what was their core value and align their direction and goals towards their core value. Just now also when you mentioned that things will change along the way. So what if their core value change?
Core values don't often change that much, but they can, like especially if it's something tragic happens, somebody dies in the family, or that you lose a house or something like this. Then this is the beauty of it. Once I take a client through an exercise, they have that tool. I give them materials and everything. They have that tool to then rejig it. Like there's a great one called the Wheel of Life. Yeah. Right. And you basically have like 8 different segments. It's all about like your career, your friends and family, your relationship, your finances, your environment, and your recreational activities and things like this in your life. And now you can change it as much as you want. I do fully encourage clients to change it. I even changed it myself the first time I'd done it, because I had family and friends in the same category, and I split them up because I was like, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's things like that, and you basically, it gives you a really good bird's eye view of your life, and then you can decide what you want to work on. You might see, because what you do is you give them all a score, and then you give them a score of where you want them to be. So it's how you feel about where they are. Yeah, and you can see the gaps and stuff. It's a really good visual. And I've done them several times with a lot of my clients, because it's like, oh, something's changed in their life, so now, or you've maybe achieved what you want to achieve in a certain area, so then it's time to go and have a reset. That's like not answering your question exactly, because you said core values, but you would do the same thing. You just redo the exercise.
Yeah, and basically it's like your priorities, right? Like for example, if when you're at this age range, probably your priorities is on your career, and then when you get older, probably you want to put more focus on your family and friends, things like that. Yeah. So it will change as you grow.
For sure, yeah, because we change as people as we grow up. I've changed many times. Yeah. I remember looking back at, I think every 5 years goes by, I look back and I don't really recognize myself. In certain ways anyway. I've still got my core integrity, but yeah. And you get that, you've got like the SMART goals and stuff like this, and then if things change, then things change, you know what I mean? You need to change some things and follow what you're aligned with at the time.
And pivot along the way. Yeah. And so since that you've been in this personal development coaching business, is there any challenges that you face during your journey of these past 2 years?
Am I in the business?
Yeah. As in the challenges that you face when you are building up this business or getting towards the audience, that your target market.
So many challenges. Yeah. It's funny, right? Like you get to a certain point and then you create your own problems, create more problems for yourself. Like I've been putting so much pressure on myself, and I've been actually had to really have a word with myself and start being more present and realizing how far I've came in such a short time. Like from going through therapy to completing a life coach and starting a business in 2 years is pretty quick turnaround, you know what I mean? And like having paying clients and all this, and a podcast, Mark Tully the Vernal, by the way.
Yeah.
Plug that.
Yeah, follow the podcast for more insights.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for more detailed conversations and stuff. I'm just trying to be real and authentic there. That's actually going really well. That was a big icebreaker for me to start getting like good following and good feedback and stuff, because I was doing the TikTok videos and stuff, and it just felt really awkward, like because you've got such a short attention, like 1.7 seconds, and like you need to get a hook in and you got to do this. And I felt like I'm like a salesman, which I'm really not. I'm an honest, genuine guy, you know what I mean? So the podcast, I can just talk authentically and be genuine.
And those that listen throughout the whole podcast will be those that are genuinely interested in what you have to provide.
For sure.
Yeah.
Exactly that as well. And also on top of to answer your question even further, the challenges that I've faced, the fear of putting myself out there and like my own doubts has been crazy massive. Like who do you think you are? You know what I mean? Like imposter syndrome, like you're not, you're not, but then like I have all the evidence of happy clients, right? Like I have not, even if it was free when I was doing the course, you had to do 20 hours at least for free. I think I ended up doing 30 odd. Whether it was free or paid, or I'm working on every course I now create. I work with a human or 2 or 10 to create the new course. That's always free as well because they're helping me create a course, right? Nobody's complaining. Everyone's happy. Everyone's getting like improving their own life and things like this. So yeah, I have all the evidence there, but yet I still sometimes sit and think, you don't know what you're talking about. It's just the negative thoughts, you know what I mean?
But I think sometimes it's just in your mind, like what you say, the imposter syndrome, like.
Oh yeah, completely.
Yeah, like sometimes you will think like, who do you think you are, and who are you to compete with, like with those big organizations that provide those coaching businesses.
You start comparing yourself to people that are 10, 20 years ahead of you. So it's an absolutely unfair comparison, becoming your own worst enemy. But yeah, I've done so much of that. It's been a struggle. I actually got burnt out sort of April, May time kind of thing. Maybe even March as well, you could say, because I just got my certification from the Jay Shetty School. I was like, start a business. I was like, right, do this, have an Instagram. I'm still not got an Instagram page because I've got the fear of being judged, right? You know what I mean? And like the fear of putting myself out there. But I think the podcast is a much better way of doing it. So I'm focusing on that at the minute. And then when I stop, I think when this job ends that I'm on at the minute, I might try and, push the content a bit more and start doing a bit more, like push myself to do it.
Yeah, trying to get more consistency and
fight through the fears.
Yeah. And after podcast, then we'll be on video, right? To show your face.
Yeah, get my face out there. I do love my logo that I created for my business, but I do know that obviously been to a few marketing seminars and paid some courses there. Like you need to get your face out there. That's the number one most individual thing about you.
I guess because like when people listen to your voice, it doesn't have a face to link the voice to the face, or put the name to the face, things like that. So I guess putting your face out there is your personal branding. Your face is the brand of your business. So
yeah, I really need to start doing that more. Thank you.
Going back to your podcast, I know your recent episode was about being present.
Yep.
I was listening to that podcast the other day, and would you like to share a little bit more on that, being present?
Yeah, I actually missed this out the podcast as well, so this is a good opportunity. It's the fact that, like, just what I was saying just now, I was getting so stuck in my own head about, like, what I should be doing next, or what I haven't done, or what I could have already done with the coaching business and stuff, and like that I haven't been progressing as much as I originally set myself. But I think the reason I did the Being Present podcast was because it was so raw for me. And ironically enough, that's the one thing I missed out, was the fact that I've been using it so much recently to actually help myself feel better, because I've just been beating myself up, which was completely irrational. And when I tune into the present moment and realize how far I've come and exactly what I'm doing, opposed to what I should be doing or what I think I should be doing, I've realized that like slow, solid progression is way better than like the fast jumps and skips that I wanted to do. I think what was happening in my mind, because the coaching, I really took to it like a duck to water, like a natural ability. I've got absolute passion for it. I think anyone who's passionate about anything will always be good at it. So that was kind of like a really steep acceleration of like gaining skills and stuff, because I was just loving it. I was into it. I was fully into it, Then when it came to the business side of things and the content creation, all of a sudden it was like, no, I don't like this. So then you have to learn without the passion and stuff. You know what I mean? It becomes a lot harder. And I just hit a brick wall, and it was just like, oh fuck.
But then you have to still try to step out of your comfort zone to push yourself towards that, the boundaries and expand a little bit more.
Yeah, to keep like the coaching starting the coaching program was definitely outside my comfort zone. It was exciting and scary all at the same time. But then it went really well, right?
Yeah.
So then the next time I come to step outside my comfort zone, it goes no, it doesn't go anywhere because I can't even type fast. Like I'm not thinking up with the technology and things like that. I'm not tech savvy. So it's difficult. But I'm getting there, I'm making progress. There is a lot more to come for sure. I'm excited.
Yeah. And one advice that I could give you, it's like you don't want to take the elevator in your career or, building the business, because you will fall very quickly. Take the stairs.
Yeah.
So like you build your foundation, you go slow, but then it's a solid foundation. When you get out there, you don't fall that quickly.
No.
So yeah, I guess this could be
That
something
sounds
for
good,
you.
Yeah, that definitely makes me feel a lot happier for sure. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, like, you just need to gain that muscle of doing that content creation or learning on those technology stuff, but slowly you'll get there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
And so is there anything that you would like to share about like the valuable lessons that you learned along your journey, specifically on personal perspective?
Yeah. We understand that we are negatively geared. So your personal perspective is going to be way off, like way lower than what it actually is.
Yeah.
So like really take the time to take control and steer your mind.
Yeah.
And like journal or just take stock of where you are, what you're doing, and not to let the negative thoughts take a hold and get in that stuck in that spiral and loop, and to realize if you are and celebrate that. Like if you gain awareness of anything, that's a celebration, because then you can address the situation.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to step out of that situation for a bit and have the bird's eye view, or looking from a different perspective to keep you motivated or feel some positive thoughts.
That's the first port of call if I've got a client with a problem about themselves or whatever. I'm like, right, how do I change the perspective on this? And you change the perspective and you see them, oh, wow, yeah, I don't need to think like that, or I don't need to, it's not true, or something like this, Yeah, the perspective is extremely important, but I think it's, understanding that we are negatively geared. We're geared to survival, not geared for success. It's like goes back to
so true.
Neanderthal days when everything could have been a danger and stuff. We don't live in that world anymore. So steering our minds, taking control is much more important than being positive, challenging the negative.
You just need to feed your brain with those thoughts to make sure that you go into that right direction that you want to be.
Yeah, it's observe. So watch your thoughts, take a step back from them, like accept them, and then replace with something positive.
Yeah. And just one last question from me. Do you have any like other or moving forward future plans for your personal growth business?
Yeah, for sure. I've got lots of plans. Maybe not plans, pipeline plans, if you will, or dreams.
Or dreams
that I will make come true for sure. But it's like to do one-to-many on like Zoom calls, create courses around that, have online courses that people can just purchase, and it's just me like with videos talking about certain subject and giving them tasks to do and things, and some materials and paperwork and stuff to go with it. And obviously keep on doing the one-on-one coaching. I think that'll always be my bread and butter, that's where you learn the most. And because it's a partnership, right? Like I'll bounce off a client, they'll be saying stuff, and I like unlocks things in my mind to tell them, right? And vice versa. But there's that, there's group stuff, there's group Zoom, group in person, the online courses that I want to create. More podcasts, obviously. I'm planning on doing them forever. And content creation and Instagram. Instagram
and
page.
Instagram.
Probably I might just. I've got a LinkedIn page. I might just flip that, but I'm going to create a business Instagram
Yeah.
for sure.
To post all the ones that related to your business.
Yeah, just a business one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll have two. I have my personal one. I have a business one.
Yeah. So yeah, looking forward for that, and
nice.
share the page to me whenever you have established one, and then looking forward for more content creation from you, and a lot of more like whatever you want to achieve in the future as well.
Yeah, nice. Likewise.
Yeah. And so that's a really inspiring conversation that we have, and it's been amazing to hear about your journey. And especially you move over here from Scotland to Australia, it's a big one, I would say.
It's pretty big.
Yeah. And thank you so much for attending my podcast session. Really great to have you over here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. When I got the invite from you, I was over the moon.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in the Unshakable Growth. Stay unshakable, and I'll catch you in the next episode.